Hey everybody, this is Mark from 3DAnatomyTutorials.com, your source for all things anatomy. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel, 3D Anatomy Tutorials. I'd like to take a second to thank 3D for Medical for letting us use this awesome app, Essential Anatomy, which can be found in the Apple iTunes Store. Today's video is going to be on the scapula. Scapula has a bunch of features, so we're going to have to divide it up into two separate videos. This first video will discuss the borders, the angles, and the fossae. So let's go ahead and identify where the scapula is. It's a paired bone. It's on the left here and on the right here. Let's go ahead and isolate one of them out. We can see that it articulates with or connects to two separate bones, the clavicle and the humerus. All right, let's get it by itself so we can get started. I'll show you the 6 views of the scapula. So we have a anterior view, a lateral view, posterior view, medial view, inferior view, and lastly a superior view. It's probably easiest to identify the borders and the angles from a posterior or an anterior view. So let's start with the posterior first. So let's get ourselves anatomically situated first. This is the medial aspect. This is the lateral aspect. Superior up here. And down here we have inferior. Let's do the angles first. We'll do this first one in blue. Go up here to the superior aspect, and we have our superior angle. Okay, right there, an angle is 2 lines or 2 rays coming together. This one's a little bit more rounded than that, but you get the picture. Now, let's move all the way down to the inferior aspect, and we have our inferior angle right there. And then if we go out to the lateral aspect, we have our lateral angle, which we'll do in green. And this one actually is a sharp one, not really rounded. So there's our lateral angle. So superior angle, inferior angle, lateral angle. Let's fill in our borders now. Superior aspect, up here we have our superior border. From there to there. Okay, on the medial aspect, we have our medial border. We'll do in yellow. That descends from the superior angle all the way down here to the inferior angle. That's our medial border. And then lastly, in purple, we'll color in our lateral border, which extends superiorly from the inferior angle up to the lateral angle. And it's actually on here. Okay, so quick review. Superior border. Superior angle, medial border, inferior angle. We have our lateral border and our lateral angle. So let's rotate around to an anterior view and we'll do it all over. So let's do our anatomical positions first. This is now lateral. This is now medial. This is superior. And this is inferior. All right, so let's do our angles. In blue, we have our superior angle. In red, we have our inferior angle. And then in green again, we have our lateral angle, the really sharp one. Okay. And let's fill in our borders now. Superior border, we'll do in brown again. It's up here. Right along the edge. Then we have a medial border. Again, we'll do that in yellow, all the way out here on the edge. There's our medial border. And lastly, in purple, the lateral border coming from the inferior angle up to the lateral angle. It's actually all the way out here on the edge. All right, so quick review. Superior border, superior angle, medial border, inferior angle, lateral border, and lateral angle. It takes care of the borders and the angles. Let's move on to the fossae. Fossae is just plural for fossa. Fossa meaning a depression or a cavity. There are 4 fossa, individual fossa on the scapula. So the first one we're going to need to look at from an anterior view. If I rotate it just a little bit around, you can see how there's this kind of concavity and depression here. Okay, that is going to make up our subscapular fossa. So we'll do that in blue. So here it is, all the way up, coming around to the lateral border, to the superior, down and around. Okay, and then everything inside here. That is our subscapular fossa as seen from the anterior view. If we rotate this guy around to the lateral view, we got our next fossa. We'll do that in red. It's called the glenoid fossa. All right, and here it is. This depression or cavity right here. Everything inside. Okay, and then if I rotate that around, you can kind of see how it's a concavity there, kind of curved. So that again was the glenoid fossa. Our last 2 are going to be seen from the posterior view. Okay, and to help identify these 2 fossa, we're going to have to identify what the spine is on the scapula, and we're going to go into more detail on the spine in the second video. So the spine is, we'll go from a posterior inferior view. We'll just color it in black here. Here's the spine. It's the projection out posteriorly on the scapula. Okay, so the first fossa on the posterior aspect is called the infraspinous fossa. Infra, the prefix means below, so below the spine. So we'll do this one in a green, and it's going to be below the spine. So there's the spine, so it's moves part way up the spine, and then everything below it, all the way out here to the lateral border, medial border, and up, and everything inside here. So that was the infraspinous fossa. Infra again meaning below. Okay. Now, if we rotate this up to a posterior superior view, we still have here's our spine still. Okay, and supra, the prefix means above, so supraspinous fossa means above the spine, the fossa above the spine. So let's color that in as a yellow. So it's covering a little bit, part of the spine here, and then everything above. Up to the superior border, out here to the medial, and then everything inside again. So that again is the supraspinous fossa. And one more quick view, we can go to the medial view. Okay, and in a medial view, we can see 3 of the fossa. Let's get our anatomical positions. This now is going to be anterior. This now is going to be posterior back here. So in blue, we'll do our subscapular fossa. You can see it right, just a little bit right here. Kind of disappears there. Okay, there's our subscapular fossa. On the posterior side or aspect, in yellow, we have our supraspinous fossa, so above the spine. Okay, and then below the spine on the posterior aspect, in green, we have our infraspinous fossa. That's going to be right here. All right, and that takes care of our all the fossa or fossae of the scapula. That concludes this video. Be sure to check out video number 2 to finish up the scapula. Thank you.